And here we are with episode 9 of the
10.
Toe-to-Toe Fight Show. Yeah, right. So I was like, I always go, what episode is this? Mark goes, I go, it's 10. He goes, it's 9. Feel free to like and subscribe to the Toe-to-Toe Fight Show. And if you'd like to have a circle pit in the comments section, I would like both walls of death to collide in the middle. So yeah, coming off a busy weekend, we were at the Fall River Fights, the CYO belt. It was kind of an interesting one for us because we narrowly got to compete. So we had one girl that was supposed to fight in the finals. Her opponent pussed out. She stinks. I hate her.
On like less than 24 hours notice.
Because
in the tournament.
She couldn't get a hold of her coach. What? That's weird. And then our other opponent, a guy I really like and his coach who I really like, they came in way overweight, but we got the fight anyways, so we were able to fight, which was cool. So it's been busy, and then there was a lot of action over the weekend in terms of fights.
For me, the story for
I can't
months.
tell if you're
no, I'm dead serious.
Go on,
for months leading up to it was Ferguson Chiesa.
Well, we had to watch sporadically because we were at fights. We had our own guys fighting and competing that night, but we had a nice stream going for the most part on the car ride. It was a long car ride. But the Chiesa-Ferguson fight I thought was interesting. So in watching it, it was short-lived, obviously.
Yep.
Chiesa won. I mean, by the time it started, Chiesa was like minus like 550. It was pretty wild, which makes sense. But then in watching it, and you guys can watch it back, and I'm not saying there was any tomfoolery, shenanigans at play. It almost presented like Chiesa like didn't want to like hurt him.
Yeah.
Like it was that egregious. It was like sad.
And then so, if anybody watches like Greco or freestyle wrestling, when you retire, if anybody knows, you leave.
Well, the fight itself, by the way. So there was very little physical exchanges. Chiesa gets the takedown, takes back without much,
it was academic.
Struggling. He sinks
the
in a
story
rear
of the
naked.
fight wasn't the fight.
Yes, go on.
That's where I'm at.
Go
so
on.
you wrestle, you leave your shoes by the mat.
Yeah.
In MMA, you leave your gloves.
Correct.
Tony left one glove.
He left one
He
glove.
Michael Jacksoned it on the way out. And then they're like, is this it? And he's like, no, like there's still work to be done. Like, what you lost your last 8 in a row.
So in watching it, I actually liked the fact that Tony lost and didn't get hurt.
Yeah. So that's like, when there's no way he's winning that fight. And there's very few ways that he comes out relatively unscathed.
Correct.
And Chiesa just taken back immediately. That was
Chiesa,
pretty good.
Chiesa's like really not like a title contender threat, but like when Chiesa's on, he is like a dominant wrestler.
Yep.
And like he could have like mounted this dude, smashed him out with elbows. Like Tony's in a way where, I mean, that's his 8th consecutive loss, I believe. Which it's just not a great look. And then, but this is an opportunity to say like, hey, I've had a million fights in the UFC, like a legitimate all-time great.
Yep.
Gave the fans a ton of shit. And like, again, we've been like fucking around, like joking around, like the corpse of Tony and stuff. But the reality is, he's so far past his prime, like, and it's not his doing. Fighters fight, dude. Like, like the guy is a maniac.
Well, so that's kind of so they interviewed him. I don't know if you saw it was an international reporter asked me. They're like, Mohammed Makayev. Also, like comment section, like I'm sure we butchered that name. Write that one down.
Yeah,
they love when we fucking pronounce names wrong. But he said Makayev has won 7 fights in a row and just got released. You've lost 7 fights in a row because it's prior to the fight. Like, how do you feel about like the fairness of that? And Tony's like, I don't really listen to people. It's like, well, maybe you should.
Well, the thing with that too, I want to be like, all right, you want to compare careers, dude? Because I'd prefer to watch Tony fight, but that's neither here nor there. My fear is this: the UFC will not renew Tony at this point. I don't believe.
I hope they don't.
But if they don't, I don't want to see him in fucking Bare Knuckle.
No, I know.
I don't want to see him in anything else. I don't think PFL or anyone will fuck with him, but like he could end up in Japan or something.
You always see those one-offs. So like the Chuck Liddell Tito Ortiz fight where
man.
Chuck like couldn't walk up the stairs for the presser.
And a guy like Tony has already held on way too long. It's just.
And his style was always very, I don't want to say reckless, but like he didn't give a fuck about taking damage.
No, he just traded like a maniac,
like
and the fights he won were just so telling, like the Pettis fights and shit like that. They were brutal, dude. So other fights in the card, you have Shara Bullet. Shara Bullet's an interesting cat because he is exciting and stuff. He just finished his last fight in his contract, but the deal with him, I think he will get re-signed. He struggles to fight in America. I don't know. It's partially visa issues. It's partially that eyeball. So I don't know. I know that he has trouble getting sanctioned. I believe the eye is fake. At the very least.
So it's funny. So
I
I know that he's had like surgeries on the eye and stuff. And I've read specifically it says doctors recommended removing it. But like if you
look at him for
his right eye doesn't work. But what I'm saying is like, if you had, I feel like you could pick a better looking fake eye if you had.
I mean, Mike Bisping fought with a fake eye to the point that
people didn't know.
I mean, he lied about it. You know, like Mike Bisping, you knew his eye was fucked up, but you just didn't know that he was blind in it. Yeah. But Shara, you look before he joined the UFC, you went, "Oh my god, that dude's clearly blind in that eye."
Yeah. And we've talked. There's in the United States, it's tough to get sanctioned if you have one eye, but there are
places in the United States where you can get sanctioned with one eye. I know it for a fact.
Under like the big blanket UFC banner, because we talk about the one-eyed wolf is in Power Slap, and he's in Power Slap. Yep. That's owned by Dana and company.
And he fought Ali Feliz in New Jersey. Yep. He just fought in Tennessee.
But as far as I know, and I don't want to speak out of turn, but I don't think he was cleared to fight in BKFC at Mohegan Sun in Connecticut.
I think there was an issue with medicals there.
And I think it was because of his eye.
But Mohegan Sun is run by the ABC, which is like the most hard-nosed, like tight-assed commission out of everybody. Yep. So there are commissions that will not allow you to fight with one eye. Obviously, like having one eyeball is a medical condition that is going to impact you. But I know for a fact a guy like Perez, who's a motherfucker. That guy's a maniac, and I love watching him fight. But I know he's gotten cleared in America, and it's like on the straight and narrow. And he fought Ali Feliz, who was a multi-time national Olympic. I'm sorry. He made the Olympic team. He actually forewent the Olympic team to sign with like Top Rank or something. And he's like 4-0 as a pro.
Yeah, Shara Bullet because I remember like you follow a little more of the boutique leagues. I guess is like the
when
best
he was
way.
Coming out, dude.
You're like, dude, this guy's legit and scary. And then in the UFC, I'm like, I mean, he's very good. Obviously, he's 14-0 or something now.
Yeah, he's 14-0 as a pro fighter, but he definitely still needs to develop his wrestling, certainly. And then there was something else on the card that was of interest.
The Dern fight.
Dern, I thought looked good. I thought the
striking was improved, definitely.
I thought the fight itself was good. And then
her stand up looked vastly improved, I thought.
And then you have Sandhagen versus Nurmagomedov. Umar Nurmagomedov. Fuck you guys. Umar. So anyways, it was kind of, I don't want to say a snoozer, but it was what you expected. Sandhagen's great, but Umar's wrestling is just
stifling.
It's stifling, man. He's going to be tough to beat. And it looks like Merab is pissed that it looks like he might leapfrog him, Umar. So yeah, overall, a very kind of
decent card. It's fine. Yeah.
Riyadh season was upon us.
All right, so
it brought promoters and distributors together in LA. And is this the future of boxing? We had DAZN and ESPN together distributing the fight, which I thought was wild. We had Top Rank and Matchroom together, and we even had dudes from Al Heyman's team. I saw Sam Watson behind a couple of fighters.
Rob, for the super casuals, can you let them know what like Riyadh season is?
Riyadh season is
it's my favorite holiday season.
So Riyadh season is an entertainment festival, like concerts and sporting events, that began back in 2019 to promote Saudi tourism. And it was spearheaded by Turki Al-Shishk, who is the current chairman of the General Entertainment Authority in Saudi Arabia. And this is the first time Riyadh season events were brought to the United States.
So you had the Crawford fight, right, Rob?
Mm-hmm.
Sorry. So
yeah, so that whole card though.
Yeah.
Right, was like kind of weird. Well, it looked awesome on paper, but it ended up playing out kind of funny. So is Riyadh season?
Yeah.
Is that like the name of the promotion?
Yeah, it's like I guess like group is the best way I would say.
Okay, cool. Yeah, conglomerate. Sure. So in looking at it, right, you had
Riyadh season was responsible for putting on this card.
All right, cool.
So like however you want to kind of.
I got you. So yeah, I mean the card itself, like on paper, was great, and then actually like the way it played out was awesome because
lots of unexpected shit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yes, I agree. So
pretty much straight across the board.
Yeah, we'll go into more details of the card itself. Yeah. So as far as like the partnership, like it looks like it's going to be a purchase takeover, or is it going to be like collaborative? Like, is it going to be a
so the way I see it is they are getting chummy with these people, throwing some money at it, and then if it's advantageous for them to kind of collaborate, they'll do it. And if not, they're like, oh, just so you know, we have more money than you could ever possibly imagine.
Well, what's
so we're just gonna
interesting is the
take over whatever we
timing of
want.
it all, because a lot of these promoters are kind of in their twilight, and it seems like it could be mutually beneficial. So there's a guy like, I mean, Aram's got to be close to in his 80s, right?
I think he's 93.
Holy, he's that old? Wow.
He looks great for 93.
You fucking guys picking on an old guy.
No, he's great. Everyone, we love Bob Aram. Like I've been saying this whole time. So so Aram at 93 years old, like again, like maybe I don't know, like does he want? Who the fuck's he gonna leave it to, right?
You have Golden Boy. You have Eddie Hearn, so you have some guys that are a little,
of course,
little younger,
but if you pick off enough of them, right? It eventually becomes UFC, who picked off Strikeforce and Bellator, and then you're left with PFL.
So let's talk about that. So everyone jumps on, and we make jokes about Dana White like before he had money and stuff, but like all kidding aside, there's been antitrust issues and like basically monopoly allegations against the UFC.
Yeah.
My thing is, okay, that's like, it's good. It's a lot of it's good for the sport. I'll give you an example.
Good for the sports is bad for the fighters, though.
If they can't unionize.
Yeah.
So
he doesn't care for unions.
I know he doesn't care for unions, but here's the thing: every major sport, in my opinion, is largely monopolized.
Oh yeah, tell that to fucking Arena Football and Canadian Football.
But that's what I'm saying. Like the XFL,
Yeah.
so like you have the NFL, but you have the NFL play.
Yeah, exactly.
Also, so people talk about the NFLPA.
Yeah.
The amount of CTE and horrible fucking brain damage and shit they
in the NFL.
Believe it or not, I know.
What was the movie with Will Smith? The terrible fake accent.
Concussion.
Concussion. Well, that makes sense. Don't ruin it. I haven't seen it yet, but I have a feeling it has to do with fucking traumatic brain injuries.
Major League Baseball. You have the NBA. You have the NHL. You have the UFC. Why is it that fight sports aren't allowed to monopolize?
All those organizations pay their players
because all of them have collective bargaining.
Yeah, that's what you need, a collective bargaining.
So,
seriously.
What I think is most interesting about Riyadh season is like up until just a few years ago, you couldn't have like a top-ranked guy fight on Fox.
Sure.
You couldn't have a PBC guy fight on ESPN.
Because they had exclusive deals, right?
Now it's a massive mix.
Yep.
And it seems cool for now, but one take that I heard earlier today was like, is it actually bringing us fights that we want?
Well, so it's funny. So like it's for as new as it is, it's a tale as old as time. It's Mike Tyson, Lennox Lewis, where it was a Showtime boxer and an HBO boxer, and they had to negotiate like who would get the replay of the pay-per-view. So it does bring some stuff together.
It's not totally new.
Have they brought the fights together that I want to see just yet? No, but
not yet. But I mean, they're 2 days old, right?
You throw enough money at these guys, like so you'll see. It's funny, like you'll see a lot of these guys. Like the Mayweathers, like the Pacquiaos, that they're done with their legacy, so they'll take the freak show fights, they'll take the exhibition fights for the money. If you gave them double, would they have stayed longer in their career? Like if you double Canelo's salary, is he fighting Beterbiev?
Maybe, Did you find that Canelo exchanged with
His Excellency?
It's wild. So it says, I heard what Canelo said, that he respects me, but he doesn't like the way we do business. As for him respecting me, it doesn't matter to me if he does or does not. As for the way I do business, I don't know why he doesn't like it, because I only target big fights at fair prices. So of course, anyone who likes easy fights won't like that. And I know how he feels after losing to Bivol, so he's been looking for easier fights ever since. Also, I'm not the one who's afraid of fighting Benavidez or Crawford. Therefore, I knew he was wasting our time and making excuses with big amounts of money that can't be paid. So I'm continuing my way to make big fights that serve the boxing world, and he's on his way to making easy show-only fights. So, Shots fired, dude. Like, here's the thing, right? I don't know.
Tell me the lie.
That's pretty accurate.
Rumor has it Canelo wanted $200 million.
I mean... Yeah, that seems like crazy money to me, right? Like I don't want to side with His Excellency because I don't want to be part of some sort of.
I don't want to be against it either, pal.
But Turkey with an I. But who I will only call Turkey with an I from now on. I can only imagine what that's gonna fucking turn into, but whatever. But anyways, everything he said, he was like, look, number one, whether you respect me or not, good news, I don't give a fuck. Why would I give a shit if you respect me, dude? Like, I love that take. That's a scorching hot take, because I take the same stance when everyone, like, they're like, just so you know, like, when people talk shit about you and they go, dude, I have respect for you, and it's like, well, I don't give, who the fuck are you? Get the fuck out of my face.
Why would I care about you?
And then he goes, as far as they do business, I offered, you wanted crazy money to fight, so go away. You're ducking people. You want easy fights, and he's fighting a guy that everyone, unless you're like super into like boxing simulation games, you don't know who the hell Canelo's fighting right now.
It's the weird like gatekeepers who are like, oh, you don't know fucking Johnny Toughnuts fighting Canelo?
Yeah,
like, no, I don't. I didn't follow his fucking
the Pan Am
amateur career.
games
Don't care.
in 2011. Like, I don't know, dude. You know what I mean? So I gotta stand with His Excellency in this one, man. Like, it seems legit to me, right? Am I missing something?
I can vouch for that take coming from a household where my father's Arabic, and there's a whole lot of, no, I'm not fucking paying for that, and there's a whole lot of, I don't care what you fucking think about it either.
I mean, dude, like, I don't know, like, that to me, it's like,
it's spot on.
Yeah. I feel like, like, I don't give a shit if you like it or not. Like, I wasn't asking if you agreed with me. Like, good news, dude. Like, I got my own shit going on. I'm doing my own thing.
Outstanding. Perfect segue into breaking down the fights of that night. The Real Big Baby dropped in round 1, TKO'd in round 5. Was the hype of the Real Big Baby exposed?
This is going to be an unpopular take.
Can we talk about, I want to talk about that. We got to talk about the babies.
Dude, when I was like trying to explain this, I was like, no, the Real Big Baby. And they're like, well, he's not the Real Big Baby. I was like, but his nickname is the Real Big Baby, who might not actually be the Real Big Baby, because Big Baby is actually a bigger, he's not a big baby, but he's a bigger gentleman.
But here's my thing. Like, it's not like you get to pick your own nickname.
Yeah,
like, I understand people give you a nickname, but like, I don't understand yeah, I'm a big ass baby, I shit in my diaper, what's it to you?
Yeah, it's funny, I was talking at the gym about like the guy,
like, oh, the executioner.
Like, little baby like shot that guy at Walmart or whatever, and they're like, no, that's the baby. And I was like, how many fucking babies are there?
It's just like such a weird thing to catch on. But anyway, go ahead.
But no, as far as Anderson's concerned, right, hype exposed, he lost to a dude that was a step up in competition, right, whose only previous loss, right, on his box rec was to Michael Hunter, who's a great fighter too, in a fight in which he injured his shoulder, right? That I think had an outcome on the fight, obviously. And did he get his ass?
So
kicked?
my thing is, yeah. So like,
puncher,
so there's a couple things. So I think he definitely got exposed. That left uppercut would have knocked out 99% of people. He got up after that. Right? Did he get up after that?
He got dropped in the first and then twice in the fifth.
Twice in the fifth. That's what I'm saying. That left uppercut.
In the fifth, he got up from. Holy shit!
So
and then he got up from both of them. He got stopped standing in the fifth.
So my thing is, did he get exposed? Yeah, like I think it was too much too soon. But his I think his stock actually went up.
When I listened to that post-fight interview,
he was super humble,
reflective. He was like, "I'm going home to my family." He's like, "Dude, homeboy's a big puncher. Like, it is what it is." Like,
I liked the hype of an American prospect. The NFL kind of killed the American heavyweight for quite some time. So I liked the idea of him. But his post fight, I'm like, fuck, I'm definitely tuning in for his next fight because he gets it. Like, dude, he stepped up. It didn't work out. The guy's a huge puncher. He landed clean punches. Hey, I'm healthy. I'm going home to my family. I'm going to be reflective. I'll be better next time.
Like, it was so. I was wildly impressed. And like this, as a young kid who fought a monster puncher that was a step up, that was a litmus, like his career can go different ways. So like you get a guy like David Price from the UK who just was going to be a big thing and then proved to be chinny, and every time he got tested, he just constantly get knocked out. But then like, and I don't want to compare him to Lennox Lewis, but like you get a guy like Lennox Lewis who was up and coming, gets a big challenge like an Oliver McCall, who's a monster puncher. He gets caught and then comes back. Now, I know it's a little bit different in the sense that McCall caught him with a singular punch, but there's examples of guys like that will still have a storied career. Like Anderson is legitimately young. The heavyweight division is in a good way a mess.
Yeah.
Because everyone is winning and losing to the point that like the landscape is all like it's not clear.
John Ruiz
got absolutely murked by David Tua.
And love him or hate him, like, and I know, like, it's funny because we jump on like boring fighters all the time. We we knew Johnny as an Olympic hopeful. We knew Johnny when he was coming up, so
Yep.
like we have a bias.
That's the best example.
But he got caught by Tua,
Yep.
who was a fucking felonious puncher. That Samoan power was unbelievable. And then he goes on to win the WBA heavyweight championship and like beats some studs along the way.
He beats,
he was a little too much too soon fighting Tua. He was a young kid.
But that's the perfect example. Now, Tua was more established than homeboy here, whose name I'm not going to attempt. Eat my ass comment section. But the idea is that, like, with a guy like Tua, more established monster puncher, but John gets knocked out way worse than Jared Anderson here.
Yep.
At least Anderson, John gets knocked out in seconds, unresponsive. It's the type of knockout where when you see it in real time,
you're not sure.
No one cheers.
Yeah, exactly.
Even if you're a Tua fan, you're worried about the health of this
and
guy.
you're not sure if he ever returns to the sport.
He comes back and beats a Holyfield. Now, I know when Holyfield had beaten Lennox Lewis, they were controversial, but regardless, it's a guy that Holyfield isn't totally washed at this point. Okay, so Jared Anderson, I don't think he got exposed. I really don't.
When I say exposed, so I'll backtrack a little bit. What I mean is like the hype train. He was kind of presented as the next generation.
He was the next step up, next progression,
and he's just not there yet. So
he's not.
I think he's
he
exposed.
said, like,
he's
all right,
not
I'm not
ready
there yet.
for prime time yet.
Yeah, we'll see. But there's a lot more to unpack on that card too.
Which brings us to the next Big Baby.
All right, so this one was kind of interesting too. So going into this fight, Big Baby, to me, is a tougher guy to cheer for because of his history of PED uses. But both of these guys are guys that are super capable, that just and like it's low hanging fruit, but like they obviously don't always take their diets so seriously.
Yeah, so like and people push back and they get super fucking resentful. But Ruiz, there's different people have different like kind of body types.
Yeah.
He doesn't need to walk around with that much extra weight. He
I'll
could
just
train
give you the example,
differently.
man. It's Buster Douglas, Mike Tyson. So Buster Douglas blows away Mike Tyson, right? Hits the lottery, right? His very next fight, what does he do? Buster Douglas gets super insanely fat, fights Evander Holyfield, and gets his ass beat when he didn't fucking have to.
Yep.
Now, what does Ruiz do? Ruiz does the exact same thing. He fights Anthony Joshua, catches lightning in the bottle in an awesome fight. By the way, watch the Tyson Douglas fight back. Way better fight than people remember.
Oh, yeah.
Tyson had dead to rights. Crushed
Jinx.
him, knocked him dead. Buster Douglas rallies back. Way more competitive fight than people remember. And then he comes back and gets absolutely lambasted because he's the heaviest of his career, super fat against Holyfield because he did his victory lap after winning the title. And then you look at Ruiz against Anthony Joshua again.
That first fight
way
was
better
awesome.
Fight than people remember.
It wasn't one-sided.
So what does Ruiz do? Wins the championship and gets infinitely fatter again. It's for the rematch with Joshua. So again, I get that it's low hanging fruit to be like, yeah, this guy's fat. I'm not the first person to say fucking Ruiz
and
fat.
It's not
weight,
like we're not saying like he doesn't look good at the beach. What we're saying is like, dude, you have the opportunity to win a world championship again.
So these
train harder, eat better.
I'll say both the guys I thought looked pretty good in this fight.
Yeah. So
I thought in scoring it live,
Yeah.
it was a majority draw. Two judges, 115, 115. I think the other judge, 113, 116, something like that. 115, 113, 112, something like that. And I had it similar to that. I did have Big Baby winning it. But why was it that close? Why did he win it? And as Miller's giving his post-fight interview, Ruiz like, hold my Sabeha.
His hand was so broke, and like there's broken hands because
say
guys will
this?
go like,
no, stop.
Go ahead.
So as I broke my hand within the past year, okay, I broke my hand. I was in a cast
from
punching
punching
someone in the face. I broke my hand. Okay, so I punched someone in the face. I broke my hand. 6 weeks later, I'm out of a cast. My hand is totally fine. Ruiz's hand will not be fine.
I don't know what he broke or what part he broke, but it was like those road humps that slow you down in front of schools, not even a speed bump. Like his whole hand.
His career might not be fine.
Yeah, so I heard 12 to 24 months because
but
they
it's like, are we talking? Was he getting like plates in his hand and stuff? Because I broke my hand again. It required a cast. It was a pretty good break. I broke it from punch. Like I weigh 150 pounds and I don't hit particularly hard. A guy like Ruiz who hits incredibly hard, who carries a ton of weight, broke it and then did 7 more rounds with a guy that's world ranked at heavyweight. That I don't know what Miller's weight was in the fight, but it had to be close to 300 pounds. And to carry that weight and to punch continually with a broken hand, that was so obviously broken, and looking at it, my guess is it wasn't like I broke
No,
just
I'm
a
saying, like,
singular bone.
yeah, whatever.
It looked like the middle of his hand was broken. Like that looks like surgery.
But then, so boxing, and I'm not calling corrupt, but you see a lot of draws for close fights to sell rematches.
That rematch ain't gonna happen.
It's not gonna happen because Big Baby's not gonna sit around for 2 years waiting for Andy Ruiz to have his hand.
And then with Ruiz too, which is tough. It's like guys that are typically heavy, that run heavier, that are out of the gym for a while, tend to get really heavy too. So that's what I worry about. There's 2 other fights we have to talk about on that too.
It looked like a pre-existing condition maybe in his hand, which could mean that he should start training with some Shadow Fights Goods gloves.
Yes, exactly. Shadow, because they have a natural fist. They're ergonomic. They protect the hand.
We're gonna have to send some out to him.
That's right. Pitbull lost against a guy that he shouldn't have lost to. And the issue with that is that it throws wrenches in the mix because Pitbull gave Tank his toughest fight to date by far. And it was kind of an interesting fight.
Styles kind of make matchups.
Yeah,
though.
he kind of just got like outboxed on the outside a little bit. He just never caught him.
Bum rush is in, and like that's kind of like his thing. And then, it's when somebody fights off their back foot the entire time and he can't close that distance.
And
or
he
make
fought
it kind of
brilliantly
ugly,
off his back foot. So that was a tougher one. So as a segue. And then the main event, Bud Crawford.
So can we mention the guy's name? So we were at the fights on Saturday and someone's like, dude, you see the line on the Crawford fight? Remember? Okay, so Matt always gets mad when I cold call memories to him, like, hey, and he's like, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Saturday.
So a guy, Justin, at the fights was Justin?
Yeah, I remember Justin.
He's like, did you see the odds on the Crawford fight? He's like, the odds I think are crazy. I'm going to put a small amount of money on the other guy. I've been watching him forever. And people like, he's not actually he is a DGen gambler. He's a good friend of ours, but he'll throw money at fucking
he bets recklessly
on anything. But
I respect.
They always love talking about these guys that are going to cause problems. The line was fucking nuts when it came out, and it was a really tough fight for Crawford.
Well, the reason it was a tough fight is because Bud is
older.
He's getting older, so he's like 36, I believe now. He moved up to 154. And he fought a guy that has a really herky-jerky, awkward style.
And he's really, really unorthodox. And it's like, he's not, his movement, it's like janky and erratic. It's not smooth. It's really hard to figure out. Makes for ugly fights.
And what's the takeaway?
I don't know, man. What's the takeaway?
Bud's still the cat's ass.
I was going to say, so like, people always, again, they jump on us because I don't want to watch Shakur Stevenson ever fight ever again. I love watching Bud fight. Like he still looked fucking great in that fight. It was a tougher fight to kind of.
When you look at his career, I forget how long he's been at the top. Like he's been ranked. It's funny when Doug was here, he was been like ranked by Ring
thousands of
weeks.
Like
8 years or something crazy.
Yeah.
Like he's been at the top forever. So to be moving up weight classes, taking on guys that aren't necessarily household names that present, style obstacles, he's still performing, which is pretty wild, man. But his KO streak did end, which is whatever. I mean, when you move up and up in weight classes, and you're getting older, at some point that's to be expected. But no, I think Bud Crawford still has a little bit left in the tank, and like to be that old and to have that many fights and be ranked for that long, like that just speaks to your career and how prolific you still are. It's pretty wild, man. That card altogether, I think, on paper, I thought it would be a lot less interesting. But to see, Pitbull lose, to see Anderson upset, to see a draw with Ruiz and Big Baby, and see Crawford move up a weight class and still got it,
and have a tough fight.
And have a tough fight, that card. When I saw it, I had no interest in, because we had fights that night. I had to go back and watch most of it the day after the fact, and I was like, shit, this actually ended up being a great card. So it was pretty interesting, and Bud's got some shit left in the tank, clearly.
This interview is brought to you by our good friends and sponsor, Shadow Fight Goods. We've talked about their gear over and over again. Best gloves I've probably ever used in my entire life. So really looking forward to this.
Yeah, super excited, man. Well, we are joined today by a very special guest, Bruce Trampler, who is a Hall of Fame matchmaker with Top Rank. Bruce, how are you today?
Great, guys. Thanks for having me.
Yes, thanks for being here. I have I am a matchmaker as well. I've been a matchmaker now for, not to brag, but for 3 months. So I'm pretty savvy as well. Bruce, how long have you been a matchmaker for?
I made my first match in January of 1968.
So yeah, so a little lead time on you.
Yeah, so you have a little bit of an advantage on me in terms of matchmaking. So one thing that I have to navigate quite a bit is things like BSI. How much of that do you have to juggle with commissions and trainers and things of that nature?
Well, there's a lot of that. We're in different states. Obviously, we're for instance, this week we're in New Mexico. The following week we're in Quebec, Canada. We just did Newark, New Jersey. We just we're all over the place. So different commissions have different styles themselves. What they accept, what they don't accept, what they'll allow, and what states are you in?
So,
Massachusetts?
Correct. Yes,
or Maine?
I'm just in Massachusetts currently as a matchmaker, as a coach and cornerman. I'm in, I think, 8 different states.
Great.
Yep.
Yeah. You just have to adapt to the people you're dealing with. There's just like there's good fighters and bad fighters. There's good commissions and bad commissions, and you just have to adapt.
Rob had alluded to this before, that you have what is almost an uncanny and kind of almost like a dark sense, where people look to you and you've been able to predict almost, I guess, negative outcomes of fights that have been turned down. Can you speak to that a little bit?
I guess the bullet point I had was like matchmaking for fighter safety. Maybe talk about a matchmaker's role in doing whatever you can to make sure everyone comes out walking, comes out alive.
Yeah. I've had some situations where I felt a guy wasn't going to survive and he should retire. He shouldn't be fighting anymore. And unfortunately, some of those instances have come true. But for the most part, I've been present at 13 ring deaths. I had one fighter die in my arms right after he asked me, "I'm not going to die, am I?" So it's a very, very dangerous sport. And I try to explain the commissions. They'll say, well, we don't want mismatches. We care about the health and safety of the fighters. Well, if you did, you would understand that most ring deaths come in the very hotly contested, brutally competitive fights. If we're talking Ray Mancini and Dooku Kim, if we're talking most recently Maxim Dadashev died against Subriel Matias, and so I'll argue with commissions. Like here in Nevada, I'll say, "You seem so concerned, like you guys know what you're doing, or like you can predict a disaster, but you would have approved Matias and Dadashev."
Of course.
It happened to be in Maryland. That's where the fight took place, but it could have taken place in New York or Nevada or California. It was a very approvable fight. And the point is, nobody knows. If you're religious and you believe God decides those things, who could argue with that? But it certainly isn't decided by politically appointed boxing commissioners.
Mark and I always use the analogy of the Ray Mancini Dooku Kim fight, because in a vacuum, you watch that fight, it's a competitive contest. It's competitive throughout, and the ultimate result is a grueling 13-round affair. It's not a one-sided, matter of a minute and a half long fight where a fighter lands a
clean right hand,
a lucky blow or something along those lines. So and that's a fight that if they were to make it 100 times over, there isn't a commission on planet Earth that would disapprove that bout.
Well, interesting, Matt, because before the fight, that was panned in the media as a mismatch.
Really?
Yeah. Who's Dooku Kim? How did he get that high rating? We'd been fortunate enough to see video of him. We knew who he was. Well, in those days it was filmed, but we knew it was a tough fight. But yeah, a lot of the media figured, well, he's just a phony WBA ranking or something like that, and turned out not to be.
I guess we're both showing our age, because I've only had the pleasure of seeing it after the fact, and you were there in the making of the bout, so that is totally fair.
And I went to the hospital with Kim, and Dr. Lonnie Hammergren came out and told us he's not going to make it. And so tell Kim it wasn't a competitive fight.
Yes, exactly.
He paid for it with his life.
Yeah. That's something that we always discuss too. It's tough when you're going through the crowds. Mark and I, as boxing coaches and trainers and promoters and matchmakers, it's hard to hear the jeers and stuff of that nature when like people don't totally understand the severity of the outcomes, because it's such a rare occurrence that something like that does happen, but it does like show you the gravity of the sport.
Yeah. And but the commissioners are they're the least qualified to know. If you're around boxers, if you're in the gyms with them, if you see how guys are reacting. Like there was a Vegas guy died recently in one of those 1-round fights in Florida.
Yes.
Now
Team Combat League.
He'd been stopped in the gym a couple days before that. He probably shouldn't have fought. He was a chinny guy to begin with, but even in a 1-rounder, if you get hit in the head and and these guys get hit in the gym and in the head in the gym repeatedly. So you just have to watch the guys. You have to, and that goes to who's the trainer, who's the corner people, are they qualified? You could get anyone off the street and pay $25 and they're licensed to work corners and train fighters. And that's maybe what commissions should pay more attention to.
I couldn't agree with you more on that. The vetting process at the amateur and professional level, regardless of the commission, and we've seen it again at numerous levels, is something to be desired, because we see people that, like you were saying, you basically fog up a mirror and then all of a sudden you have a professional boxing license, whether you're a corner person, a fighter, or what have you. And then you get a commission in some aspects, has no combat sports experience, whether that be a trainer, a combatant, what have you, making decisions based upon, things like BSI, which I've been told is an old metric for handicapping horse racing. So that's really why, and you laugh because that's why I wanted to talk to you about this, because, someone as prolific and experienced as you, I'm having conversations with commissions, and I'm seeing guys who are 0-14 getting approved because they have this metric, this BSI, that says they're a 4.
Because they haven't been fighting for 5 years, because they have less than 500 rounds, because they haven't been knocked out in their last 5 of their 10.
But as someone that is around the sport, that sees these guys, that they're unskilled to the point that it's a safety issue. Then I'll have another guy that I see, he might be 2-9, but he's 2-9 because he's only fought like genuine prospects, and he's not laying down. He's giving a good quarter of himself, but his BSI is a higher rating due to whatever aspect, and that fight gets declined. It doesn't pass the smell test.
And then in licensing, depending on the commission, I remember we were in Florida, and to get licensed to be a cornerman in Florida, when it was an online checkout, we hit the checkout button to pay the $25, and the moment we hit it, our email was hit with, "You are now licensed to work a corner."
And it's like, it's one thing, and I don't want to like champion ourselves, but we were in the gym in diapers. We really have been in the sport. And we've been, we've cornered hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of boxers, but that doesn't change the fact that we clicked a button on a computer screen and we were coaches, and that's egregious. That there has to be a better vetting process, because it's people's lives at stake.
Pretty scary, isn't it?
It's terrifying.
So you've been doing it for 3 months?
My matchmaking for 3 months.
Yeah. So you're more qualified than most commissioners in the country to decide what's a good fight or isn't. And, here at Top Rank, Brad Goodman's in the Hall of Fame. I'm in the Hall of Fame. And yet we get guys telling us we get one head commissioner telling us he's going to decide if it's a good fight or an approvable fight. And I tell him, listen, we've already vetted the fight in-house. We've vetted it with ESPN. We've, in effect, vetted it with the fans who come out, because that's who, that's essentially who we're, TV viewers and paying customers. That's who we're putting on shows for. And you're going to tell me, meaning the commission, you're going to tell me how to do our job? It's the inmates running the asylum, and the inmates are the commissioners.
Hearing someone like you say that is such like a weight off my shoulders, because there's like a certain sense, as much as I've been involved in it, there is like a small amount of imposter syndrome when I go, because I am younger and I am starting that next chapter of matchmaking in my life. But I'll have a conversation with Mark and I go, I don't really understand the dynamic here, because
we know both fighters. We know it's going to be a great fight. If it's a 6-round fight, it's a good chance this one's going at least 4 rounds.
And the guy telling me no has never taped or gauzed a hand, has never had a bloody nose, and has never been in a gym in his entire life. And I've been training amateur and professional fighters for 20 years, and they're the ones saying no. The power dynamic, it seemed off. It seemed askew. So hearing it from someone as prolific as yourself is kind of definitely a breath of fresh air.
Yeah. You claim that you're young and all that, but I mean, you are young, okay. You still know more than the people. It'd be like you going to a law firm and telling them how to run their law firm, or you go into a hospital and telling doctors how to conduct their medical business. It's completely crazy.
Yes.
But that's the way it is. But age has nothing to do with it. If you've been around boxing, if you've been around fighters, you're qualified to do what you're doing. And you can always tell a commission, if I put on bad fights, take my license, or suspend me, or fine me, or whatever. But they're also worried for their own jobs. Well, what if something goes wrong? Well, usually it doesn't go wrong in a mismatch. You try not to do mismatches, but if a guy gets knocked out quick, except for that recent fight in Florida, usually there's nothing bad can come of it. If you look at ring deaths, most of them take place in the 8th, 9th, 10th round. That's how long it takes for the brain bleed to build up and cause swelling, in the cranium. And so you're not going to see guys dying in the 3rd and 4th round, which most preliminary fights are 6 rounds. It's the later rounds, and if you take the time to go through the ring deaths over the last several decades, you'll see what I'm telling you is true.
Certainly.
Yeah, and it's just the way it is. But commissioners don't do that.
So while we're on the subject of things that totally piss us off, Bruce, I think it was about 5 years ago now, we talked about this epidemic of missing weight, and how much that had pissed you off, and it still rings true. What can you tell us about the epidemic of missing weight?
Well, I think the level of boxing trainers has declined severely. There's an increasing reliance on so-called strength and conditioning people. There's an outfit called Perfecting Athletes that they specialize in taking weight off a guy at the last minute and then rehydrating him after the weigh-in, because as you know, before your time maybe, but weigh-ins used to be the day of the fight. Now when you're talking 24 or 36 hours, why not just weigh in on Tuesday for a Saturday fight? Nobody's making weight, everybody's rehydrating. The so-called movement to have day before weigh-ins just means that welterweights become junior welters, super middleweights become middles or junior middles. I mean, guys are rehydrating 10, 12, 20 pounds, and that's not healthy, but they allow it. But the level of training, for instance, Terrence Crawford's trainer, Brian McIntyre, he brought, I don't know if you saw the fight Saturday in LA. Steve Nelson won a fight. He stopped a guy. Steve Nelson's last fight for us, when we had Crawford, he came in 6 or 8 pounds overweight.
Oh my God.
And I said to Bomac, I said, really? You wanted to fight for Steve Nelson, so we brought you guys in, you and Bud and your team. We brought in an opponent who now has to get paid because he made weight. We paid for hotel rooms, airfares. What do you guys got to say about it? And Bomac goes, "No, I'm sorry.
No,
my bad." Guys didn't used to do that, and I'm bringing up one of the more prominent trainers today.
Sure.
There's a lot of trainers you never heard of and probably never will hear of, but guys come in, it's ridiculous, and commissions don't do anything about it. You sign a contract, everyone commits to it, make weight. So the common excuse now is, well, he's dried out, his body won't let him lose any more weight. Well, too bad. Someone's got to pay for that.
Yep.
There's no accountability, is what I'm saying.
Mark and I,
and there's no ability on many of these trainers.
Because
and we've had guys in our stable that you see on our ESPN shows don't make weight, they don't fight, but we're stuck with the opponent.
Of course, and you're on the hook.
A lot
for
of
them.
incompetence,
Yes.
A lot of unprofessionalism.
Well, these guys all go to like online nutritional schools, and all of a sudden they're experts in weight cutting. Our strong suit really is amateur boxing, and amateur boxing is all same day weigh-in, so it's no water manipulation, anything like that, which is really what I think. To this day, professional boxing should go back to. I see some commissions. I've seen it a little bit. We've seen it in Philadelphia or Pennsylvania, rather. I've seen do some same-day weigh-ins. I know UFC has done it for one of their events, like their Salute to the Troops. They did same-day weigh-ins. And like having a guy like, George St. Pierre was really known for weight manipulation. He would come in 20 pounds heavier at that point, but it goes back to the safety in the sport. You risk renal failure, concussions and things when you're manipulating your water weight and traumatic brain injuries.
And regardless of us being trainers, there's the other side of it where there's a lot of pressure on us as matchmakers, where these people will be like, oh, I want to do 156 plus 2. They're like, build me in 2 pounds.
Right,
And it's like, whatever, give me a weight, sign on the dotted line, show up, be a professional. Call times have been challenging for us. Call time is at 4:30. Well, I don't fight until the co-main event. That's great, but I can't hunt you down all night. Just show up at 4:30, be a professional. You're getting paid to do a job. So.
Yeah, and while I definitely sympathize for you, keep in mind that you're working with the best trainers on planet Earth. I am not working with the best trainers on planet Earth. So when your guys are missing weight by 6 pounds, in Bud's camp, my guys are not missing weight by 6 pounds in Bud's camp, and then I have to be there, in a basement in Waltham with a scale between us, and I got to somehow renegotiate a purse. In real time in order to somehow save a fight, and even then make sure that it's an ethical fight at that point, right? Because now I don't know if this guy who's 11 pounds over, who's a paid opponent, if we're being real, right? A guy that's being brought in to make the A side look a certain way, is now 12 pounds over, what have you, and I have to compensate everyone accordingly. It's a mess. And it's in reality, it's like if they just made weight and if it was same day weigh-in, we don't have to play the game with these, fly-by-night nutritionists or strength and conditioning coaches, what have you, whatever they want to call themselves on Instagram that day, but it is very, very.
Yeah, I mean, communication is so important. A real good professional trainer today, let's say fights on a Saturday, the weigh-in's Friday. Say they come into town on Wednesday. If they call us and say, look, my guy's a little heavy, he may not make weight. Can you talk to the opponent, maybe adjust it a pound or two? Easy, very easy. But when they get on the scale and look at you stupidly and go, oh, I don't know what happened. The scale must be wrong.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Your target scale at home was right on, and it. And you knew you were going to come in heavy, and now it's going to be awkward. If you just texted us 2 days ago, we could have worked with you. Yes.
Yeah.
In shifting gears, here's a question for you, because this is something that I'm sure you're much better than I am at. As a matchmaker, it is also your job to be and I mean this not in a negative sense, but to manipulate fighters into taking bouts. So just as a car salesman is going to manipulate someone into sitting into that new Cadillac, do you have a toolbox in which you dig into to convince fighters to take certain bouts? Because especially on the level and scale in which you guys are competing at, it's got to be a massive task.
There was an old Sports Illustrated story written about my hero, the greatest matchmaker ever, Teddy Brenner. And it told how he was at Madison Square Garden for over 20 years when the Garden was the Garden. And in the story, it tells about him fighting. I think he's looking for an opponent for Jerry Quarry at the time. And he tells each guy a different story, trying to entice them into making a match. And his final quote in this segment of the article is, he goes, "Let's face it, it's a bit of a con." You know, you're my con, if you want to call it that, is when I'm offering a guy a fight and it's a tough fight, I'll say, look, if you don't think you can win the fight, don't take it.
Yes.
You know, you'd be surprised how many managers and trainers, well, wait a second, yeah, we can win the fight. Well, then take it. Yeah. I mean, because it's the truth. Sure. I don't want you to take it if you don't think you can win it.
Yep.
So you might try that out, you guys.
Yes. Well, Quarry must have been a tough one, right? Because Quarry's one of those guys in that era, right? That he was super, super tough and super hard to beat, but he wasn't in that, like, he probably was like a 1A, 1B type heavyweight in a murderous row of heavyweights. So if you're matchmaking, right, he's a guy that I probably would have avoided like the plague in that era, right?
A lot of guys did avoid him. Yeah. Here's a funny Jerry Quarry story, also with Teddy Brenner. He was going to put Jerry in with Ron Lyle in Denver, Colorado, and they worked out the money and all that. Jerry was a very smart guy, good friend of mine, but very smart. But he was also a little weird. He wanted to do more than just fight. He wanted to be the businessman. So they worked out the purse, and then Jerry says, "Okay, let's talk about the officials. I'm going in the Lyle's hometown of Denver. Who's going to be?" And Teddy Brenner says to him, he goes, "Wait a second, you want to get paid a lot of money and you want to win the fight?" And Jerry cracked up at that.
That's pretty good. By the way, I think Jerry probably would have won that fight. Who do you think would have won that fight? They were both. I like both guys a lot personally, but Jerry was hard to beat. Yeah. I think Jerry would have won that fight. What do you think? You think Lyle, Mark?
I think of the Lyle Foreman fight and just how scary he was and how he just, I don't know.
That might have been the best Ron Lyle, though.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's hard to say, I suppose.
He's one of those guys that, like, he's another one of those names where you're like, if you're one of those top guys, I don't know that I'm picking Ron Lyle out of my hat.
Never an easy Lyle fight.
Yeah.
So everyone, this is your opportunity to like and subscribe to the greatest podcast. And if you disagree with anything we have to say, and many of you do, feel free to infight in the comment section. If you feel like John Jones is a clean, upstanding citizen, feel free to say so in our comment section. If you feel otherwise, feel free to disagree. Bam. Bare Knuckle Scuffle. BKFC 63 sets attendance records of 15,600 in Sturgis, South Dakota. Zach Kalmus, our dude, wins by decisive KO. So much to unpack here. First of all, is there ever been a location on Earth that is more conducive to a bare knuckle boxing event
than Bike Week?
Than Sturgis Bike Week, dude.
No.
So again, those numbers, 15,600, I know doesn't sound like insanely impressive. If you see pictures of the event, it looks like
packed.
It looks like Rock in Rio with like Iron Maiden. It's like a sea of people. It was an awesome event. It was really sick. Zach Kalmus fucking blew his dude away, like a barrage right off the jump. Beat the shit out of him.
Sometimes in bare knuckle, depending on like it might be like a cuts are really common. It can be like an injury to like. Nope, like our dude Zach snuffed that dude.
Snuffed him, and then on the ground he was just pouring, dude. So it was great. Outdoor events are like hit or miss too, but that was like a perfect storm. BKFC really found their footing with Sturgis. going forward, that seems like an event that has to be
An annual thing.
And yeah, because like we see annual shit for whatever reason. Like people like attach themselves to certain things. Like around here,
the day before Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving
it's like a
Eve
huge...
became a thing. So much so that multiple promoters are putting on shows the day before Thanksgiving. BKFC has to always do Sturgis Bike Week.
Yep.
It's perfect. I believe the Connor meme shit that we saw, by the way, was at Sturgis.
Oh, that makes so much
Doesn't
sense.
it? So we'll unpack that
so
later.
much sense.
Unless you want to talk about it now. But
Like crushed one. What's his beer? I can't-
Forged. So Forged Irish Stout.
There you go.
Yeah, Connor looking like Roadhouse Connor, dressed like Stone Cold Steve Austin, drinking a Forged Irish Stout in the middle of Sturgis was kind of like a moment. But yeah, good for them, man. Like they're definitely like doing their thing, and it was like a great moment in time for BKFC.
Yeah.
Because BKFC is like at their advent, they were doing small ass stadiums and not filling them up.
Yep.
You know, and that's not like a shitting on
No,
them.
no,
Like
no. So they were growing.
Yeah, they're growing.
Now they've grown.
and almost 16,000 people is like that's a legitimate event,
Yeah.
dude. I can't even think. Oh, and it was headlined by Hart and Starling.
Yeah.
And Hart
Taylor Starling.
Yeah,
Brittany Hart.
Hart got her. I don't want to say her start, but she was doing glove boxing around here in a lot of those New Hampshire shows.
Yeah,
And
she was at those
Wyndham, New Hampshire.
Wyndham,
But
New Hampshire.
with
yeah.
and Hart and Starling both happened to be on cards that we were on. Starling made her debut, Killer B, at Knucklemania when we were on
in Lakeland, Florida.
And Hart headlined that show against Paige Van Zandt. Starling, we didn't talk to at all. Didn't get a grade 5 from her, which is whatever. Like she was in the zone.
Brittany Hart was very,
Britton
very
Hart,
kind, very
what a
approachable.
likable motherfucker.
Yep,
She's
very friendly.
awesome.
Yeah. She's
Before the
cool.
fight, after the fight, Britton Hart was really, really awesome. She's an easy person to cheer for, and she's married to homeboy, the Mexicutioner dude, a BKFC fighter as well, former UFC fighter. So yeah, she's great.
Beltran?
Yeah,
Joey Beltran?
She's married to Joey Beltran,
No
dude.
kidding,
Yeah, the
okay.
Executioner. Yeah, which is pretty wild. So yeah, Britton Hart defends her crown, still kicking ass. Kalmus, I think, is now on a 4-fight winning streak at heavyweight. Like, got to see him.
He's always been good at boxing. He's like bare
He's
knuckle.
so much better at bare knuckle, and that's not like to take away from his boxing.
Yeah,
he's like found
just
his
made
shit.
for bare knuckle.
He's made for bare knuckle. Yeah, fucking
Dominated
awesome.
that guy.
Yeah,
It was awesome to see.
the best. So our girl Leah Gotti is finally putting hands on Amber Fields this Saturday. So it's weird. I'm like more nervous about this fight than I am for like other fights.
That's where I'm at too, because like I'm really pulling for Leah now. Not that it wasn't before, but like I haven't talked to her. I'm like, dude, she's taking this very seriously. She's training super hard. I just really wanted to pull this one off.
The reason I want Leah to do well is because the only time our comment section is nice to us is when it's a Leah Gotti clip. So Mark and I, this is even better, dude. We're gonna be at a wedding on Saturday, and I'm just gonna have like it's like bum 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 bum, and on my lap I'm just gonna have Misfits boxing and 2 porn stars throwing hands. Yeah, I really hope Leah Gotti does well. For no reason other than I think she deserves to.
Yeah.
She's worked really, really hard
And
for
it'd
her
be cool
moment.
for her to get a 3-fight deal, because I'd like to see her growth in the sport.
I'm on the fence about that, having talked to her, because she was like, if I win, it's a 3-fight deal, but I want to go where the money's at. So, like, I couldn't tell.
Hopefully it's an option, like a 3-fight option.
I couldn't tell like what was better for her.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because she's like, I'm gonna fight.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like I also wonder, like, with bare knuckle, now that they have like a little bit of a spot, like I think she would do well with that.
Yeah,
whatever, bare knuckle, MMA, boxing, who gives a shit? I just want to see Leah Gotti make the most amount of money, and I would like to see her whoop ass on Saturday, because I like to see Leah Gotti whoop some fucking
And
ass.
if you've seen, so there's links to all of her gear through our social media, so you can see that
links
stuff.
to her gear, direct links to her actual proprietary link for the Misfit boxing event, so she'll actually get a cut of that too, which would be great.
I think it's awesome if she's offered a deal, because then she can use that as leverage for whatever anybody else is offering.
Sure, that's a
I
good
have
point.
this 3-fight thing.
Yep.
What are you guys going to give me?
Yeah, but
This is what they're
usually
giving me.
I think it might be an exclusive.
It might be a win and you're locked in for 3. I don't know. It depends how the contract.
A lot of the
set up.
verbiage in like contracts that I've experienced is usually like, if you win, it's an automatic extension, which is a double-edged sword.
Exactly. It's nice that you're kind of taken care of and you have that, but like at the same time, like
then you kind of
might
get pigeonholed. Pigeonholed? Is that a fucking idiom? Oh, God damn it! Don't cut that. Fuck you. All right.
All right, let's do another strong female lead.
Pigeonhole, submission or salacious pigeonhole? Truck stop pigeonhole. Strong female lead, we're up. Here's the deal with this strong female lead. So Rob is going to say both of their names, okay?
Maricela Cornejo is to fight Cecilia Breakhouse August 10th, this Saturday, which marks Cornejo's third title fight on less than 1 week notice.
So let's address this. Matt and I don't have an encyclopedic knowledge of some of these female boxers. We do know that of one of those short notice fights, she fought Clarissa Shields.
Yes, there's a double-edged sword when it comes to female boxing, right? And the thing is that they are obviously always second fiddle, which sucks. And the fact that you're taking a third title fight on 1 week's notice is egregious. That's crazy. The benefit to being a female boxer is the talent pool is smaller, so you're able to be in a position to fight in title contention constantly.
Which, man, I've talked. If you want to, if you're in our stable and you're a male boxer and like a popular weight class, so anywhere between like 155 and heavyweight.
Yes.
We could get you to 10-0 based on just cherry picking fights. Not necessarily what we want to do, but we can get you to 10, 15-0 because there's enough bodies available in the continental United States to do that. If you're a really talented 140-pound female boxer, you
go even lighter, 25.
125-pound female boxer, there's 4 or 5 girls in the country that you can fight. And
that's like
sucks.
a popular weight class.
But so on the one hand, it's like, dude, your options are severely limited. On the other hand, you're 3-0, you're fighting for a world title. And
you're fighting for like a fringe world title.
But if you're getting these short notice offers as a female, you have to take them.
You have to take them, dude.
It's because the opportunities are fewer.
So it sucks that she's put in a position constantly where it's like, what the fuck? I got to take a fight on a week notice. But she's taking fights on a week notice where she's constantly in a position where she's fighting for, a world
legitimate
title,
world title too,
against
not
the likes
some
of people
alphabet
like
soup title,
like a borderline household name, if not a household name in Shields.
I was hoping that she had a chance against Clarissa, but then again,
Nobody
nobody does.
has so far.
And it's no knock on anybody, but just Clarissa's that good.
And man, I hope she does well this weekend. I think that'd be great.
Oh, thank God. I love this. I'm so hyped for this one. How excited is Ryan Garcia this week that Conor McGregor exists? Because, all right, so the Rabbit Punches segment here says Conor McGregor slams Canelo for low pay-per-view draws. UFC 306 to outshine in Vegas. But really, this is just a segue into Conor this week, if we're being honest, okay?
Yeah.
So let's just go ham. So we'll start there.
Yep.
Okay? So Conor is like, Canelo, your pay-per-views suck, right?
But now, like,
no, but then he deleted the tweet.
Yeah.
On X, right? First of all, he's probably right. Canelo took a fight that's like weird that.
But also, like, yeah. So one, he's probably right. Like, but like, imagine like if you're like Canelo Alvarez being like, oh, I only sold 500,000 pay-per-view buys. Also, like, that's not like that.
And Conor's comparing it to UFC 306, which has an overhead budget currently of $17 million.
So if it's in the Terradome, it's in the Thunderdome.
Yes,
it's in the Sphere. What is it? What do they call it? The Sphere.
The Sphere.
The
Sphere. It's UFC Noche or whatever. It's like, Mexican Independence Week, and they have fucking Sean O'Malley headlining it. Figure that the fuck out. But whatever. It's neither here nor there. Point being is this. Dana White has already said, not only are we never doing this again, this is crazy. We fucked it up for everyone. Like, read quotes about it. He's like, we ruined this place for everyone. It is once in a millennium. No one will ever do it here again.
We've been to 1 million live UFCs, not even MMA fights. We've been to Bellators. We've been to big.
Probably 13 live UFCs.
And
maybe more.
I'll go again. But like, I don't get.
I want to go.
And yeah, Matt's dying to go. I don't get the specific added appeal. Like, if you're at a concert, like a U2 concert, and there's all kinds of crazy shit on the Sphere, like, I'm gonna look at the fight.
He spent 17. He goes 2 weeks ago. He goes, I spent 16 million. Then it goes, it's up to 17 million now. So Conor's like, yeah, Canelo, your fucking pay-per-views aren't good. Look at UFC. He spent 17 million. I hope the fucking numbers are good. Also, if you read about the Sphere, I don't care if you're like, oh, concert compared to fights. Read Drew Carey's review of Fish. in the sphere. He like basically found God, and fish stinks. By the way, comment section, come at me for that shit. If you're a fish fan, fuck you.
And I've said this
Yes.
probably for 20 years. I don't know what I hate more, fish or the people that listen to fish.
Oh, it's 1 and 1A. We get it. Your parents are rich and you fucking drive a Saab,
like
and
the
then
Julie
but you
oil.
fucking drink water out of a fucking
Ball glass jar.
yeah, ball glass jar, and you play hacky sack, dude. And like, here's an idea, and I come at me with this one. Grateful Dead sucks too. I don't give a shit. And now you like fucking Grateful Dead's fucking dorky stepbrother, Fish, bouncing off the walls. Fucking Fish sucks, bro. And by the way, you got mad that I thought Dana White wasn't handsome. You got mad that I said Bob Arum wasn't handsome. You got mad that I said fucking John Jones was on drugs. Get mad, get pissed about it. I don't give a fuck. If you like Fish, eat my ass. Fish fucking sucks, bro. But anyways, go back to Conor McGregor with the epic week of all weeks.
So Conor crushing his stout, and again, you've said the name of it.
Forged Irish Stout.
But I don't. Okay, anyway, so Forged Irish Stout, and then he's in a club.
Yes.
He's dressed like an extra. What was it? Cruising? What was the
Yes, it's cruising. Cruising the is it Pacino?
Yeah,
When
the
he
underground
plays-
gay scene in like New York.
Yeah, I thought you meant the scene in the movie. You mean like yes.
I'm talking about the entirety
You ever
of
see
it. but-
Cruising?
Yeah, Rob, put that in your to-do list. Anyway,
It's actually kind of a cool movie.
it's a great film. So
I don't want to ruin anything, but there's a lot of sex, a lot of like
Connor's in this
paid gay
in this
prostitution.
black leather open vest with no shirt, and then there's a
looks like-
a blonde little person, like giving him eyes, being like, let's
This
do
chick
something.
who's small. I thought she was I thought there was a step down. She's a small person. She is everything that Randy Newman hates. If you're familiar with the song, short people got no reason to live. You know that one, Rob? Put that in the Rolodex. We're giving Rob a ton of shit to look forward to. So anyways, Randy Newman wrote a song called Short People. It's all about his hatred for short people. It's really a satire on racism, but that's neither here nor there. So anyways, there's little homegirl. She's at Sturgis. Conor McGregor looks like he's the world's cheapest trick at the world's shittiest bachelorette party, right? And she makes eyes with the camera and makes eyes with him. She's like, ba-dum, 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 ba-dum. And he was like, dude, I don't care how much I've fallen
He's
off.
the king of bad decisions. He's like, you know
And
what?
he's like,
not tonight, internet.
no matter how much I've given way to drugs and like people have caught me on camera,
This ain't the one.
I'm not doing this. And you just see her being like, I don't care, I'm sending it. Oh, Rob, put that on the screen, please. Can you play that? Can you please? It's just a still picture, just for our viewing audience. They have to at least see this individual and Conor McNugget here. Conor dressed like literally looks like Conor looks like it's 1999. He's dressed as Stone Cold Steve Austin at a Halloween party, and then the little person comes up to try to dance with him at Sturgis Bike Week while he's just drinking his Forged Irish Stout and his proper 12 whiskey. Oh my God, yes! Look at her. Oh yeah, bad decisions. Look at what Conor's.
Get it.
Is Conor not dressed as Stone Cold Steve Austin? Is he not crushing Forged? Wisers? Wow, there's just so much greatness there, and he's like, you know what? Fuck y'all.
I'm gonna step up.
Oh my God, yes.
Good God.
Part of me hates him, and part of me loves him. Look
wait,
at him.
wait,
Look at
so
her. Look at him.
it's the
She's
best-
like shooting her shot.
Cruising. I nailed that.
It seems like he rejected this.
Oh, he did. He did. But like,
100%.
and he never makes good decisions,
This is the
especially while
one
drinking. It's the
good
one time where
decision
it's like,
Conor McGregor's
I
ever
should walk
made.
away from this interaction because I'm gonna do something wrong.
Nice
Yes.
work, Connor.
Yeah.
Yes. No.
Hats off to you.
Nice
Yeah.
job.
Yeah.
Hats off to you.
That's good.
That was my Connor. Arr. That was my Scouser.
Hey, quick shout out to our sponsor, Shadow Fight Goods, for always making stuff possible.